Onyi, welcome to the Action Academy podcast, man. You became a millionaire from tanning salons. Walk us through what's the portfolio today and what are the economics of tanning salon?
Yeah, portfolio's over 9 figures. A good portion of it is actually commercial real estate, but every single piece of commercial real estate I have has a tanning salon in it. And a good portion obviously is also on the tanning salons. So started doing it when I was 21, 37 now. We're the third biggest chain in the country currently. We'll probably scale up to number 2 in the next 2 years and to number 1, we believe, in the next 5 years. The economics of it, man, it's if somebody wanted to go open a salon today, even if you had $5 million net worth, you wouldn't be able to.
Really? Why?
You couldn't get financing. So it's restaurants and tanning salons are the number 1 defaulters of SBA loans.
Really?
Historically. The only way that you're able to get a loan, we've never been denied an SBA loan, but it's because our FDD, our franchise disclosure document, our average salon does over $350,000 profit. We've never had a salon close ever in 15 years. So we have a 100% success rate. So that's not going to always be the case, but for the first 15 years it is. We have super high profit margin. So based on that, we get financing. But if somebody else went to go and if you had Brian's Tan and Tone and you would not be able to get financing. You could get financing if you were putting up, say, a portfolio that was equal to the financing you wanted to as collateral, but that's basically using cash, right? But outside of doing that, you would not be able to get financing. So what that does is that insulates the industry to where it's so hard, the barrier of entry is so high. In addition to that, the equipment of our tanning beds coming from Germany, they're all made in Germany, and they're anywhere from $40,000 to $75,000.
Yeah, and you normally got what, like 12, 16 beds a location?
Yeah. So you're looking at, you have some spray booths and those are 25, 30,000. The beds, we only have the highest level beds. Those are anywhere from 40 to 75,000. The amount of money that it costs for you to get into it is so high that you're spending with the build out, our build outs. We have the nice salons, and I'm not just saying that, you can look it up, glowtanning.com. We have the nice salon. So for you to do it, you're looking at probably anywhere from $800 to $1 million.
Damn.
And somebody who has money and has $800 to $1 million, or let's say you're getting an SBA loan, they're going to finance 90%. So you got to put $100K down. If you have real money and somebody was like, hey, what should I invest in? I should invest in the tanning salon. They'd tell you you're fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just one of those things that people aren't looking into. Everybody's car wash, laundromat, this, that. Everybody does the same thing. So we're over here in the corner minding our business, making our money, and insulated because it's hard to get financing. The people who have money. If you don't have money, investors are not probably going to be very apt to say, hey, because every time somebody sees me and sees, oh, you're making money, you're driving a Rolls and you have this and you have that. And they say, how do you make your money? I'm like, oh, I own tanning salons. So like, people still tan.
Yeah.
That's what I want you to think, right? Because that kind of keeps people away from what we're doing. It keeps it. In 2009, there were 24,000 tanning salons. Today, there's 6,500.
Damn.
So the industry hasn't gotten any smaller in terms of revenue.
Man, so many follow-up questions from that. So the first question I have is, how'd you get started in tanning?
Yeah, so I went to University of Arkansas, Fayetteville, Arkansas. And so at the time, I was a bodybuilder. I ended up being Mr. Arkansas a couple times. And I had a supplement store. It was my first store. It was an owner's finance deal. I had no money. I was a 21-year-old broke kid. And this lady had a Max Muscle franchise, which used to be a big supplement store franchise out of California. And she wasn't making money. She wanted to sell it. Her price was $100,000, like $99,000 something. And I basically just convinced her, hey, I know that I can grow this thing. Back then, I was what we now refer to. We didn't know what that was at the time, but as an influencer, so I was like a fitness influencer in that area.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, hey, I know I can get people in the door, whatever. She agreed to owner's finance it to me. I think the payments were like $1,500 a month over 5 years. And I ended up paying it off in 18 months. I went to go do a second location I rented, was way too big for a supplement store. I think it was 2,800 square feet. Supplement store can be 500 square feet, 1,000 at the most. So I was like, okay, what else can I do in this? Maybe a fitness studio, because I was a personal trainer at the time.
Mm.
And Fayetteville is extremely white. And most of the girls that I knew, they were, so most people who go to Arkansas, University of Arkansas, and most people who go to the University of Oklahoma are from Dallas because they get in-state tuition, right? They can't get into UT, they go to Arkansas, Oklahoma. That's just how it's, right? So they all would talk about how the tanning in Arkansas sucks and it's so much better in Dallas. So I was like, hey, there's a need. Never tanned before, but there's a need. I went to the local tanning salon and said, hey, is this a good business? The lady looked at me crazy. Who's this black guy walking into the tanning salon? Asked me if it's a good business. And she's like, yeah. I was like, all right, cool. So I just started doing the research and opened a tanning salon ignorantly, and it worked out.
So if you can't get financing today, was it different back then?
Yes. So back then there was so the company is called JK Capital, or JK, which is a company out of Germany that is the number one producer of tanning beds in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Their local, or their American headquarters actually in Jonesboro, Arkansas, where Arkansas State University is. And so they also had a division called JK Capital because they realized that financing was such an issue. They basically made their own financing division for their equipment. It was the most ridiculous terms, but at the time, I'm 22, I didn't even read the docs. Oh, you're going to give me financing.
So you basically did an equipment loan.
Yes.
So if you're buying a laundromat, then you would finance the equipment. Like I was about to get one like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like 16%.
Damn.
I find this out like years later because I just didn't pay attention. I'm just like, okay. And it was like a lease to own type deal. So like you basically paid it off, and at the end of it, you pay 20% at the end, and then you could actually own it, or you could trade it in and upgrade your equipment. So it was a really stupid deal, but that was the only way that I can get in. And for me, I was just happy that somebody would give me the financing. So they gave me the financing. I actually financed my first 4 stores doing that, and gave me the financing. It took off. I ended up selling the supplement store same day I retired from bodybuilding, and just took off from there. And every single year started opening probably about 4 stores a year. And last year we actually opened 29.
Yes, you got like over 100 locations now.
Yes.
Y'all doing like 55 top line?
Percentage?
No, 55 million.
55 million? We're doing more than that.
Hell yeah. That was the number I got from 2024.
Yeah, we're doing more than that. Yeah,
dude.
For sure.
Hell yeah, man. That's freaking awesome. So I got 9 million questions. If somebody's listening to this, they're buying their first business, we'll start there. But then for people that are maybe still in the beginning stage, stick around, because the scale stuff, like that's what I'm most impressed with what you've grown, is how you've scaled it. And there's a few like key points that I want to bring up from that about like your churn, how you keep your churn so low, how you're doing tech enablement, like all this stuff where you're going to be like, dude, your private equity exit, if you decide to, it's going to be like bananas. But first, before I do all that, I'll help the new listener out that's like working that corporate job right now. Maybe they're 21 years old or maybe 31 years old, and where you were. Maybe they got a rental property or two, and they're trying to figure out like this whole business thing. You know, what's some advice that you would give them? Because apparently it would not be going to a tanning salon today because of the financing.
Yeah, so they can go into a tanning salon if you were going into a franchise. Right?
Okay.
So if you were looking at, and this is not even, we had, and just to preface, and this is the truth, we had 2,500 applications last year, and we only accepted 3. So it doesn't matter if they can apply, and they might be one of the 3, but that's literally what happened. So for us, if you were, and that's because of brand integrity, and we want to make sure it's just like McDonald's, right? You go to McDonald's in Paris, you go to McDonald's in Paris, Arkansas, or in Paris, Texas, it's all the same, right? So that's why we do it that way. But anyways, I think that really more than anything else, making sure, number one is be willing to take risks. But take calculated risks. Don't just go and say, oh, I think this is a great idea. Also, be different. Like everyone wants to do the same thing. And the issue with the same thing is there's a market, if you look at it, let's just say nail salons. That's an $8 billion market. Cool. $8 billion. But I know for sure in Dallas, there's one road in Dallas that has 100 of them. I'm not exaggerating. Has 100 nail salons. Some plazas have 2, right? It's $8 billion, and every time somebody opens a nail salon, it keeps cutting that pie.
Yeah.
So it's if everybody does a laundromat, right? It continues to cut the pie because that pie, the amount of people that go to laundromats is not going to get any bigger because you opened a laundromat. So it's like looking at what actually makes sense and what's a need in your area. Because everybody also likes to go to the same places. Everybody wants to go to downtown Austin. Everybody wants to go to uptown Dallas. Everybody wants to go to Chicago or LA or New York. Who's going to small town Oklahoma? Who's going to Wichita Falls, Texas? Who's going to Lubbock? So it's like looking for where there's actually a need and then saying, okay, I think this actually makes sense. And I personally believe in not being first to market in the sense of creating some crazy idea and you being the first. It's typically the person who's second that actually wins.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook were second to MySpace.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's even with Tesla, he was second. So I also think if you're looking at a business and you're just saying, okay, let me get into something and you have the money and you're not so much of an operations type of person in terms of a creative operations type of person, look into a franchise. I say this all the time. If I had to do it all over again, I would not do what I did. But because I literally did what I did just because I was naive and I was ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
It worked out.
Yeah.
But if I knew what I knew today, I would not do it. And that sounds crazy as in if I had to, I have zero regrets in life. So if you took me back 15 years with the same knowledge I had 15 years ago, I would do it again. What I mean is I'm smart enough now to look in and be like, that's probably not a good idea. Because it was not sound decision-making that made me do it. I just did it because I was a 22-year-old idiot. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it worked out. But there's a lot of 22-year-old idiots that have bad ideas and it never works out.
I want to highlight some stuff that you said there that stood out to me. One is you're looking at an industry that's already established. If somebody's listening and there's like, I want to buy my first business. Mm. And then you're saying, okay, look for an industry that's already established. Don't try to be Zuckerberg. Don't try to be SpaceX or something. You're not doing anything crazy. Do something that's already proven. The market's already proven. Product market fit is already there. And then you say, come into this market and now find like your differentiator, your USP, your unique selling point. Like come into an industry that's already working and then do something that like a little bit different. And what I like—
you have to be better, cheaper, or faster.
Better, cheaper, or faster.
Two of those three.
So that's the millionaire formula: better, cheaper, faster.
Yep.
You're buying your time back. People don't get that until they do it for the first time and they watch it pay off. And then from there, you're addicted and you realize that the biggest investment that you can make with the highest ROI is in people.
Yep.
So it's like in the people that you hire, the people that are mentoring you. So question for you as a multimillionaire: how does somebody approach you to where you would actually listen to them and say, okay, like, Onyi, I want you to mentor me? Like, how could somebody approach you? What energy, how does that messaging look for somebody, for you to actually read that and say, this seems like something? I'll give you a little bit of time and see where it goes.
So two things. One is whenever somebody approaches and they offer something, and when I say offer, I'm not talking about money, but offer, hey, I'm willing to work for free. I just want to just learn. And there's really not much that I can give them anyway. Mm-hmm. It just shows that, hey, listen, like this person is like serious and willing to give their time for your time and your knowledge. There's a trade. That's number one. Number two is a direct ask. A lot of times people just say, you mentor me. What the fuck does that mean? Mentor you in what? So it's like when somebody says, hey, I really want to understand X, and I would love if you could help me understand X and Y. Okay, cool. That's a very direct ask, and I can say, yeah, no problem. I got you. I get approached probably 100 times a day, and no bullshit. Between TikTok, Instagram, emails, get approached probably 100 times a day, and most of them I just ignore. If there's a direct ask, especially somebody pretty young, then no problem. I also am not going to follow up. You have to show an effort to really want to do it. It's not my responsibility for me to make sure that you are eager to learn and get the knowledge and everything else. If you want that, then you have to go out of your way to get that. That makes sense.
Man, I love that advice. And it comes back to one of my favorite quotes, which is, you pay to play or seek to serve. That's how I find a mentor, man. You pay to play, you pay them for your time, join their mastermind, join whatever, or you seek to serve, you find a way to add specific value. But to your point, people hear that and they run with it and they're like, I want to pick your brain. I'm like, dog, you look like you're picking your nose right now. You ain't picking my brain. Your brain's too valuable. And what you just said is what I tell people. And that is so freaking cool, because if somebody comes in and they say, and it's shorter, better. If you've given us paragraphs to read, we ain't reading.
I'm not reading paragraphs.
Yeah.
Somebody did that yesterday. I literally was like 4 paragraphs. I'm like, I'm not reading.
Life story. Yeah. But if you come in, you're like, yo, Onyi, love this specific thing that you're doing. I'm doing this too, or attempting to do thing. And it shows they're taking action. And they're like, I got a question. How many beds you putting in? Because I'm trying to get a salon. I'm trying to put 12 beds. Is that the right amount? You're like, okay, I recognize you. Like, you're doing it.
But it's also a question that you can answer, right?
Like that.
Yes. Let me pick your brain, which get that all the time.
Coffee.
It's okay. Now you want me to go out of my way. And I'm not an extrovert, right? Yeah. I actually don't like networking. Yeah. I could turn it on and I can communicate with people. I'm not an introvert either, but like a introverted extrovert, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, me to get up, leave my house, go meet somebody for coffee that I've never met, to why would I want to do that?
Mm-hmm.
There's no interest. Even if I know you, I still don't enjoy doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I'm always on the phone. My phone's always ringing. People are always calling me. I have 1,000 staff members. Me sitting over here and talking to somebody for free that is not even giving any specifics on what it is that they potentially want help with doesn't make any sense. And I love helping people. That's literally, there is nothing that feels better. There's nothing more rewarding. And that's why when you get a certain amount of money, you can double my income right now, it wouldn't change my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So with saying that, it's saying what drives you, what makes you feel better, and that's helping people. And if you look at the people who are like the people that everybody knows that are at the top, those people pretty much almost exclusively talk about giving back and donating money and doing charitable work, because nothing else, if outside of Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk, the rest of them do that.
Mm-hmm.
And if, you know, you look at Bill Gates, you look at all these other people, even Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, she's given away, she got like, I don't know, 20 billion. She's probably given away 10 already. Because if you gave her an extra 5 billion, she probably wouldn't even smile, because there's nothing, she already had 20 billion, an extra 5 billion changes nothing in her life.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes her feel good giving away that $5-10 billion because she's able to change somebody else's life.
Yeah.
So like doing things and helping people and mentoring them and all that. When somebody calls you their mentor, there's nothing that feels more gratifying. When somebody says you changed their life, nothing that feels more gratifying. But there's 1,000 people in a month that ask for you to mentor them. How do you filter out who's serious and who's not? And sometimes the reason why paid mentorship actually makes sense because it's also saying that they're going to take it serious. And I learned that from when I was personal training. If I, you know, it's a friend or something and I'm like, okay, I'll just personal train them for free. They don't show up on time. They don't show up at all. They don't take anything serious. The person's paying me $100 an hour. They're showing up on time. They're taking it serious because they're actually paying for it.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's even less about the money and more about just knowing that, hey, this person's actually going to take it serious.
Yeah, man, those who pay attention. But I like what you said there because people were like, yeah, I'll work for you for free. I'm like, yo, free's too expensive. Free's too expensive, bro. I don't know, like you're giving us work to do. Yep. But like you said about I'm a big Tony Robbins guy now, and I paid $85,000 for his like little private mentorships thing. So I'm going to go up to Canada with him and I think 100 people. We're going to go do this 6-day event here in February. And I've met some cool people through his program. And he talks about the science of achievement and the art of fulfillment. So achievement is...
I want to hear more about that.
Yeah, it's X, Y, Z. For you, you've got your growth plan for your tanning salons. You can put it on paper. But there's a lot of stressed out, pissed off millionaires and billionaires. But people think the money's the answer to happiness. And they can't realize that it's not until they make a certain bag. So I'm curious... what was your bag where you're like, once I hit this number, I realized it wasn't the answer. More money from this point isn't going to make me happier.
When I was 30, I had an exit and made multiple 7 figures on that exit. Mm-hmm. So a really good amount. Bought a big ass house on 5 acres. I bought the Bentley and the Ferrari and had all these things or whatever. And I looked up and I was just like, man, this is all the stuff that you thought that you would like. And you have over $1 million in your bank account and you have all this stuff and whatever. And I'm like, but you're not fulfilled. And I thought that what was missing was, I'm not fulfilled because now let me get a wife and then let me get a kid. I got those. And that the personal life fulfillment is there and work fulfillment still wasn't there. So it's okay. Even till today, that's why I said I was interested, because I've never set a goal for myself that I haven't achieved. Mm-hmm. And when I achieve my goal, within a few days,
get ready for the next one.
Ready for the next one. It never stops. So it's like that, while that is amazing for personal success and achievement and it drives you, and I'm a workaholic and currently I'm starting 2 different businesses right now. God. So those things are what drives me to do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's, man, I would love to just feel like everybody else in a moment and just be like, damn, dude, you're super accomplished. Just chill out. What is it? I'm worth over 100 now.
Yeah.
And
you don't care.
No, dude, 7 years ago, not even 7, 10 years ago, I couldn't afford underwear. So I can retire today and not spend and not make another dollar of actual income and just live off of my real estate and everything else, and I would still make multiple seven figures a year. And I'm very frugal, so I don't even spend that. I don't fly private.
I only got Ferraris in one color, bro.
Nah.
I'm frugal as hell.
I like cars.
I got the cream Bentley.
I like cars.
Yeah. But it's all relative.
Yeah.
It's all relative.
And no lie, I live off of 5% of my income.
I believe you. Yeah.
So it's, that's 5% is a lot, but most people live off of, even somebody, have you ever seen the breakdown on Instagram of, hey, this like budgeting ladies, like whatever, and this couple in New Jersey, they make $1 million a year. At the end of the month, they have $10,000 to save.
That's crazy.
Or like not even then. The end of the month is like $1,500.
Yeah.
Like it's private nanny and private schools, $10,000 a month, and this and that, and her badminton teachers, $2,000 and whatever. And it's, you made $1 million, and then at the end of the month, you guys have $1,500 remaining to save. So for me,
that ain't freedom.
No. And so for me, I'm literally living off like 5%. I'm investing the other 95%. And it's, what are you really doing that for?
No, it's really cool because I'm going through this stuff right now. So I haven't shared this with the audience, but like I took home $1 million last year.
Yeah.
For the first time. So I don't got my passive, like I have 6 figures in passive, but like I'm not to 7 figures in passive yet, but we're going to get there. Like I'm going to be in the same thing.
You're going to get there quickly. The snowball is...
It's crazy.
It's very fast.
Yeah. So what I've been working on is like, for me, once I did a quarter mil, and for people listening, like you guys may think, like you may have a tendency right now to have you come into our conversation right now and be like, yo, okay, must be nice for you guys to talk about that. Don't do that. For y'all listening, for y'all watching, don't do that. Because the reason we have these conversations isn't because we're trying to like flex on anyone. We're having it so that you can benefit from it. Because there's people that are listening to this that like people don't talk about this shit. And what I've been working on right now is after I hit that number, then I was just like, why isn't this making me happy anymore? And I actually got some good coaching today. And I want to drop this on you. I want to see how you react to it, because for me, it was so beneficial. And then we go back to the scale stuff, because I want to talk about the scale stuff. But I'm always anxious. I'm always on. I can't turn it off. And you made a comment where you're like, man, I wish I could just go back and be like, to where I could, because you could turn it off back then. And you can't now when you're a business owner, because there's always something more. And so I was just like, man, I'm just avoiding all problems. When things are going good, you're like, what's going to come fuck me? Like, we just scaled, like you just grew, what, like, I got it in my notes, you 4 extra revenue in 3 years. Crazy. And you're like, things are good, life is good, the sun is shining, but you're like, who's going to come, who's getting me? And I realized I'm not afraid of problems, I'm addicted to problems. And that was my big breakthrough. It took me 5 years to come to this. I had it today. And I was like, I literally wrote in my notes, like, deadass right here, I wrote, I have to be slaying a dragon or solving a problem to feel calm or peaceful. And when things are calm and peaceful in my life, I'm anxious as fuck. I'm curious about your perspective on that.
Yeah, that is the...
It's hard, dude. It's entrepreneurship.
Yeah, for sure. And there's ways, so I don't have that problem, but I understand the problem, if that makes any sense. I actually lack anxiety.
Damn, son. Give me that. I'll give you some of mine.
Only thing that ever makes me anxious or upset is when I have to rely on other people.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is not rely on my employees and stuff like that. I'm talking about it's not in my hands. Hey, we're closing on this building in a day, and the banker who approved it now calls me and says, hey, there's an issue and we don't know if blah, 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 whatever. And I already have everything mapped out, set. My leasing agent already has leases lined up. I already put my earnest money in, and it's hard now and all this other stuff. That's the type of thing where I'm like, fuck. Because I have no control over that, right? I'm just waiting for him to call me back and say, yeah, man, we're good to go. But in terms of like life, business, everything else, I lack anxiety, and this is the reason why. I've had so much crazy stuff happen in my life that I'm not going to put specifics on the pod, but when I made it through that, I realized everything will be okay. So it's one of those things, if you look at it, just to give you an analogy that everybody can understand. When you were 5 years old, the worst thing that happened to you was that you fell and hit your knee. When you were 10 years old, the worst thing that happened to you was that your girlfriend kissed your best friend. When you were 15 years old, the worst thing that happened to you was you were the person who fucked up the football game, right? When you're 20 years old, the worst thing that happened to you was you got caught with a gram of weed by the cops. When you were 24, you got a DUI. When you were 30 years old, who knows? You lost your job and now you have to figure out what you're going to do, right? The problems in our lives progressively get worse. But every single time we get past it, and every single time we get past it, you realize it wasn't that bad. Also, when you put yourself in other people's shoes, it gives you perspective. So you look at it and you say, like my brother-in-law, my wife's brother, his best friend is currently in hospice because he has colon cancer and he's 26 years old. And this guy is a millionaire. I don't think he's a millionaire, but his parents are extremely rich. Doesn't fucking matter. Cancer doesn't discriminate. And all the things, if you look back in his life and you say, give me every single hardship that you've had, guarantee they all pale in comparison to what he's going through. And if you look at all of his friends, my brother-in-law and all his friends, and they look at every single hardship they had in their life, guarantee that they would trade that hardship for what he's going through right now, basically saying, I never want to go through that. So when you have that perspective, and that's the perspective I have, so that's the one really good perspective I have, and I wish I can, the art of achievement, I can get those things, but just realizing, man, you know what? Everything's gonna be okay. It doesn't matter. People can go, my competitor went and took a mug shot from 15 years ago when I got in trouble for weed or whatever, and sent it out to every single landlord, every franchisee, all my bank's compliance departments, everything. And my franchisees were all freaking out, not freaking out on me. They were freaking out just like they had my back, pissed off. And I was just so calm about it. I was just like, it is what it is, because I knew that at the end of the day, I can either dive into that situation and feel the anxiety of it, or I can dive out and just say, hey, in 6 months or even in 2 months, we're not even going to think about it. We're going to laugh about this. So if you put that perspective in your head, then I literally, okay, this is really good. This is the truth. Somebody said, man, how did you do that? Like somebody who knew what was going on because there's like a cloud. It's almost like when the whole Diddy thing first happened, right? Everybody's talking about it for 2 days. After that, it's just baby oil jokes and we move on, right? They're like, man, how did you not freak out? And I said, listen, I lie to myself and tell myself I don't care until I actually really don't care. It's the truth.
I believe it.
So I'm like, oh, I don't give a fuck. And I'm like saying this out to everybody else. In the back of my head, I actually care probably 70%. Every single day I continue to say, I don't care. I was like, man, I don't give a fuck. That shit don't bother me. That the amount of actual bother goes down to where by the end of it, I probably cared 5%. Just didn't care. Because I'm like, oh, because everybody else, if I feed into it and I say, oh my God, blah, blah, then they're running around, oh my God, I feel so bad for you, blah, blah. And it's like, when I say I don't care, they're like, well, if you don't care, then I don't care. And then it just goes away. So that's my thing when it comes to anxiety and just whatever's going on. I just look and I'm like, okay, are you going to wake up tomorrow? Did your parents die? Did somebody that you love pass? Are you in jail? The answer is no to those questions. We'll be okay.
Yeah.
So that's what keeps you, that perspective keeps you to lack anxiety.
Yeah, man. Problems don't go away. They just look different.
Yeah.
Always,
just zoom out.
man.
Just reflect and don't even say it out loud, but just reflect on what is the worst thing that's happened to you in the last 5 years. And then think about how you were then and think about how you are now about that thing. And you're probably like, dude, that shit wasn't even as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah, because they don't go away. The only thing, so like problems don't change. The only thing that changes is your ability to overcome the problems. And then once you see that problem, like you're putting that in like your chest. And you're like, all right, bro, I've been here before. So you said the commercial real estate thing. Yeah, that's the biggest example because you're like, bro, I have been fucked by brokers. I have been screwed by tenants. I've done evictions. I've seen this before. But when you go through it for the first time, you're like, oh my God, the world's ending. But I like the quote where it's just, if I'm 80 years old, am I even going to remember this?
That's my point.
Yeah.
Or even I always, in real time, I say, we'll be laughing about this in a year.
Yeah.
So that's why I really, truthfully, I lack anxiety. I bring so many, just what you said on the problems, I bring so many problems to my own door.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to find new projects. I'm trying to do this. I never stop. So all of those creates problems because, dude, you already have it. Any person who's ever seen me work, that no person's ever been like, I've never been around somebody who's, man, I've never seen anybody work as much as you. I get that all the time. I don't even know how you have time to do the things you're doing. Number one is delegation. But number two is if I sat around, I realized that when I'm not working, I spend money.
Yeah, bro, let's keep you working.
All these things cost money. So it's just, you got to fill your time doing what?
We got to get this man in a pickle bar or some shit. You're destructive, dog. No, but that's actually a good point. If you're not doing it, then what's the point? But at the end of the day, like I travel a lot. And so I'm working on that right now. I'm trying to enjoy my journey because it's like you hit those mountaintop moments. And then I only say this because I've interviewed so many people worth over $100 million and billionaires. And they're like, dude, once you hit that mountaintop, then the only thing that you realize is, oh, wow, it's the smallest mountain.
I think your mountain is the one that you achieved last year. So that once you hit the 7-figure mark, then it's okay, cool. And what I mean by that is there's no difference. You can make $1 million and $2 million. There's no difference in your lifestyle.
Nah.
Well, there's not one thing you can afford at 2 million you couldn't afford at 1. There's a big difference between 1 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to 10 million, there's no difference between 10 million and 20 million. There's no difference even between 10 and 30. There's a difference between 10 and 100. So what that means is...
So it's in that multitudes of 10.
Yeah. So what that means is unless something is 10x in your income, then there's no reason to stress yourself out. It's because it's not going to change your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And when we leave this earth, you're not going anywhere with it.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Are you doing it because you enjoy it? I do what I do for the love of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I do what I do so I can have the opportunity to be able to help my family. I do what I do to be able to have the freedom to go do whatever the fuck I want to do when I want to do it. That's why I do it. I would do what I do right now for $40,000.
Mm-hmm.
So I just happen to be pretty good at it and make money doing it. But that's why I tell people, I'm like, listen, it's about like freedom, but money also buys freedom, right? So there's never a time that I'm like, oh man, I can't afford to go here. Or, oh man, I really want to do this. No, I can afford to do what I want to do, but it's not about the money.
That's why it comes back to contribution, because that never goes away. But I'm curious, I've got this idea that I'm working on. I want to see your opinion. You'll be the first person I'll try to validate this with. So it's every year that you don't make $1 million costs you, let me rephrase. Every year that you don't know how to make $1 million costs you $1 million because you don't have that skill set yet. And from experience so far, I feel like you have to put up 10% of whatever you want to make in a year in like personal development, coaching, mastermind, whatever, to be able to unlock that skill. So for instance, to learn how to make $1 million a year, I probably spent $100,000 on coaches, different masterminds, trainers, like even people coming into your world, like consultants and stuff. And now to make $10 million a year, I think we'll probably spend about $1 million on talent and people. I'm curious about your perspective on that.
No, it's absolutely true. You can make $1 million without investing in any of that, but you're going to be stuck there. Mm-hmm. Right. And any person who makes $1 million is really big on just growth, personal growth, business growth, whatever it is. These are growth minded people. These are not people who like to be stagnant. So you make $1 million, you're like, all right, because in your head, you think, once I make $1 million, then I'll be good. There's no way. The same ambition and drive that makes you get to the million is the same ambition and drive to make you want to get past that million.
And that's the point.
Yes.
So you become the person that's capable and you got that skill for life.
And the thing is, when we say millionaire, there's 3 different types of millionaires. There's the millionaire that is, you bought a nice house, you lived in it for 20 years, it's now worth $1 million. On my street in Dallas, that's how my street is, right?
Yeah. Houses, 60 years old.
Yeah, some of these houses even 20 years ago were $200,000 homes. They're now over $1 million, right? Mm-hmm. They're a millionaire. They owe nothing on their house. Their house is paid off. Their house is worth over $1 million. That person's a millionaire, right? And the definition of it. Cool. There's people who are millionaires because they happen to have some type of business or they invested in some type of stock that has taken off. They invested
NVIDIA, Tesla.
$50,000 in Tesla after Elon went on Joe Rogan and smoked the weed, and now that thing is 30x, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Now they're a millionaire. They put it $50,000 in NVIDIA 5 years ago. Now they're a millionaire. Then there's the millionaire who's like yourself, who created something. Mm-hmm. That millionaire knows how to generate $1 million. The other 2 millionaires do not know how to generate that. They just got lucky. Mm-hmm. You invested in a home, it appreciates $1 million. You invested in the stock and it appreciated to $1 million. You're both millionaires, but that's not the person who's going to continue to maintain that, right?
So you got the skill.
You got skill set. The skill set millionaires are the ones that's the ones that I think your listeners are more trying to figure out how to be. I tell my staff this, I'm like, I am not smarter than the average person. The 2 skill sets that I have is, number one, I am a people person and I'm a salesman that can get people to do what I want them to do, in the sense of, hey, I want this person to work for me and do a good job and do X. I can motivate people to do that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Number two, I know what I don't know. That's it. So if I don't know something, I go hire consultants. I don't know something, there's people who are way less successful than me, and I go to them and I say, hey, do you mind mentoring me? I'm not asking them to be a life mentor. I'm asking them to be a mentor in one thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm coming and I'm saying, hey, I want to learn about business acquisition, I might make more money than you, but I'm still going to come to you and say, will you mentor me on business acquisition because you're better at that than I am?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like being able to really humble yourself. And I think that one of the biggest detriments to a lot of people's success is their ego. People don't understand the difference between pride and ego. I'm a prideful person, but I lack ego. Ego means that you think you can go it alone. So a lot of people just think, oh, I'll figure it out. No, like, why would you waste your time trying to figure something out that somebody else already has figured out?
Mm-hmm.
Pay them, go read a book, do whatever you have to do to go and try to figure out how to shortcut the answer, because it's so easy. And this is the reason why, even for people that say, they're like, oh my God, ChatGPT and school, and people are going to, like, university students are going to be dumber because they're actually be smarter. Because why do we want to make it difficult for them to get information? How about we teach them how to utilize that information to be better than we are in our current generation or the generation before us, right?
Uh-huh.
So this generation has so much access to knowledge. And even when I say this generation, I'm saying even everyone in the world right now has so much access to knowledge. And what do you do with that knowledge is the question, right?
Yeah, which makes it easier to win now than ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because everyone's got access to knowledge.
Absolutely.
And that means that since everyone's got access to knowledge, nobody's doing anything with it. Information ain't the answer. Implementation's the answer.
Absolutely.
But man, what's some advice that you can give to somebody that is in that position, man? They're getting started and they want to scale something big. They want to hit that financial freedom. What's some advice that you can give that you think is probably not something that you hear online or reading all the books and you don't see it in the clips all the time?
So a lot of times I went to IFA, which is an International Franchise Association, whatever, and me and Grayson and some of our team went there, and that was my first time going to any type of franchising conference or anything, and it was the emerging brands. We were actually the largest brand there because emerging brands, it was like 1 to 100 locations. We have more. We have 102 at the time. They invited us for free to try to get us to sign up for the membership. And so we were there. And we did these little round tables, and it was a bunch of different franchisors and whatever. And then I ended up almost becoming like a impromptu speaker / mentor of the little group, because there's this guy there, and it was actually here in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy's, I have this remodel company and I have one location. I want to start franchising, whatever. And I'm like, dude, you're not ready. He didn't like that answer.
Mm.
And I'm like, listen, man, like, how are you telling someone to buy a franchise of something you only have one location of? You haven't even proven that you can scale it.
Dude, that's so genius. Yeah.
Take time. I want historical numbers. I want multiple locations. I want multiple locations in different areas. You might have 2 locations in Austin. He has 1 location in Austin. You might have 2 locations in Austin. I'm still not going to buy your shit. Because how do I know this is going to work in Dallas? How do I know it's going to work in Chickasha, Oklahoma? How do I know it's going to work in Little Rock, Arkansas? Okay, that's number 1. So take your fucking time. Build out systems and processes. If I franchise your business and you have 1 location, all I'm doing is franchising a job. I'm buying a fucking job. Because how do I also know that business is not only successful because you're there all the time? No, I want a business where I see that the franchisor has 10 corporate locations and I know that they're working, and basically I'm looking at it and saying, okay, this is a business that can be scaled, even if I only want 1 location for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But I want 1 location for the financial freedom. So that means I do not want to buy a job. I understand that it's my responsibility. I understand I have to work it. I understand I have to learn it. I understand I have to make sure nobody has me by the balls. So I need to know everything within the business. Cool. That's all advice that I give everybody. But I also understand that at some point I want to put staff and people in place to where I can step out of the business, right? I can buy my time back. A lot of times people are not building the systems, the processes, the SOPs, the things that they need to put in place for people to be able to do that. The reason why we've scaled the way that we've scaled And we haven't even truly, we've never had a salesman. We've never advertised franchising. We've never done any of this. And we literally opened 29 locations last year. Our 29 locations, outside of the 3 people that we brought on for new franchisees, were all existing franchisees. Why? Because we have systems and processes in place to help people scale easily. Our system and processes in place allows for somebody to do just as much work for 4 locations as they would for 1. So if you set those things up correctly, because for me, I know that in the next 5 years, we'll have 800 locations. I don't want to have 400 franchisees. I'd rather have 100 franchisees with 8 locations each, right? So how do I do that? I need to make sure that the franchise is as good and easy as possible for every franchisee to be able to easily scale to 8 locations and it still be enjoyable for them. That's the process. So those are the things I tell people when it comes to scaling. It's number 1, do it yourself, figure it out. Number 2, this is another big one. I've never taken investors, ever. And I highly advise against taking investors. In certain circumstances, I also think that taking investors, I have a lot of friends that are PE guys, a lot of friends that are worth 10 times, 5, 6, 7 times more than I am, and they still take investors.
Man, it's like a job.
Yeah, but that's the thing. One of my mentors told me, he said, listen, BlackRock takes investors, why wouldn't you? And that kind of really stuck with me, and I was like, damn, okay, he's right. Cool. I understand it. But on the flip side of it, you take investors, you work for them.
You do? Yeah.
People also don't give you money because they like you. They give you money because they're looking to get something off of you. And that's not a bad thing. That's why they're investing, right? They're not investing to lose money. They're not investing to let you borrow money. They're investing to make money. So I strongly believe in bootstrapping from the jump. Now, once you get 1 or 2 locations going and you want to get investors for scaling, that's fine. I still did not do it, and I wouldn't do it because it's not necessary. But I understand why other people would, and I'm not opposed to it or against it. And if I started another business that I needed to scale the same way Glow is, and I can scale it faster by taking investors, maybe I would. But a lot of times people are their first location like, oh, how can I get investors? For what? How many times has somebody had 1 location of a business and taken investors and it worked out? I don't know many. That's just the truth.
I think you just preached there. So there's a few things that you said in there that took me too long to learn. One of them is the importance of process. And everyone talks about passive income. And it's cute. We're actually intentional with what we talk about. We say, hey, if you want to build like $10,000, $20,000 a month of cash flow, it's different than passive income because passive income is some bullshit.
I like the word that you said. It's cute.
Yeah. Because it's degrees of passivity, but it's based on how good you are. Because it's the passive incomes on the other side of profits, process, and people. And so it's just, so you have to have margin to have passive income, which means you have to hire the staff and you have to have the processes.
I think a better way to even put, number 1 is everything you said is true. But I think even a better way to put it, I have commercial buildings that make $20,000 a month passive income.
That's damn near as close with triple net, right? Yeah.
I make 20, and then this is like after debt service.
Yeah.
I leverage everything. That's actual pretty much passive income, right? And it can be truly passive because you also get a property manager, so you literally do nothing. You just collect a check. Cool. The difference is, and what people don't realize, and for the podcast people, is I can easily get $20,000 in true passive income, but that means that I need to have $3, $4, $5 million liquid and invest that money.
Boom.
And then when I invest that money now, so I'm trading $3 million liquid to get $20,000 a month passive.
Correct.
So for somebody who doesn't have, so for me, I don't even look at it. My commercial real estate is a wealth play, right?
Correct.
I own over 24 buildings worth $100 million and have $28 million worth of debt on it. And most of it's between 15 and 20 years of financing.
Mm-hmm.
So that stuff will be paid off by the time my daughter is 20 years old. It'll be mostly paid off. And we know that the value of that real estate is
gonna go crazy. Yeah.
Double or triple at that time. Cool, great. But I took a lot of cash and put into these properties for it to do what it's doing. So if you have $1 million, $2 million liquid, and you want to get $10,000 or $15,000 of passive income, I can tell you the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy, especially with commercial real estate. But most people, 99% of the people listening, are trying to get out of a 9-to-5 job
through purely passive
and try to get passive income. There's no such thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you had $2 million liquid, you're probably not listening to podcasts trying to worry about passive income.
Yeah.
Because you can literally take, at the same time, if you took $2 million, probably truly passive, I could probably get you a standalone 10-year lease, Chase Bank building where you can get $10,000 a month in passive income, and you put $2 million worth of cash up, finance the rest. Cool, great. The issue is, if you had $10,000 a month, how many years is that? I think that's 18 years. If you just took the $2 million, put it in a CD, and just took $10,000 a month out of that.
It's just being clear about what game you're trying to play.
Yeah.
And it's about being clear about where you're trying to go. And we teach both. Like, we teach commercial, we teach business acquisition. And so, like, I've just interviewed probably over 500 millionaires now, 600 millionaires on this show, and a few billionaires. And what I've learned over all this time, and that's why I have a perspective that I have, is just because I ask smart people good questions and shut the hell, honestly. And I used to think, okay, cool, yeah, I'm going to go do multifamily. I'm going to go do storage, and that's going to purely passive income my way out. But then I realized my best path for what I want to do is I want to learn that skill of building $1 million a year, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million a year in a business, and then redeploy that capital back into like exactly what you did. That's what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. But I've also got friends that just built up 300 units with investors in debt, and that's also sick for them. But it's just like, for me, like, I sold all my single family, and now I'm only focused on business. And I say no to everything else that in my business.
Man, listen, I can't preach. Like, you asked me a couple of words of advice. That's another thing you just brought up. Focus.
Say no.
Everybody wants to do every fucking thing. Oh, man, I have this opportunity here. Oh, man, this and this. Just focus on what you're doing. It might not pay off today, but it'll probably pay off tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on what you're doing. Every time, everybody has FOMO. It's funny because on social media, I have a pretty good social media presence or whatever, especially on Instagram. And I'm not the one who's posting my Instagram. Like, I have a team that does that. I'm not the one who even responds to my DMs. I have a team that does that. I do get on Instagram every once in a while. I have group chats on there, whatever, just to kiki. I don't even look at other people's posts 99%. Sometimes I feel bad because it's like my friends like scrolling up on my stories. I'm like, oh man, I need to watch their stories. So I scroll up on their stories. I don't spend my time. I don't ever get on TikTok. The name of it literally means wasting your time, TikTok. So it's, I'm just like so focused on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so many people spend multiple hours a day on social media. And the problem with social media is not even that it's a time waste. It's that it puts all these different things in your head to where now you feel like, oh my God, I heard this person say X. So even for you, if you look at it, the two ideas that you had, those are social media ideas. Those are social media business ideas, in my opinion. Storage and laundromats. And storage, laundromats, car washes. You hear that all the time. So you keep hearing that, You're like, oh shit, let me go look into this. And you realize people tell you, oh, rentals, and you'll do this and then refi out, blah, blah. And then after a certain point of you going on your journey of realizing, hey, what actually I should be doing, you said, fuck these single family rentals, fuck the laundromat, fuck the storage unit. I need to focus on what I'm doing, and I'm good at what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And the more I focus on that, the more I can scale on what I'm doing. One of my favorite quotes that I always say, concentration builds wealth, diversification keeps it. Focus on what you're doing. And I've made probably 100 pieces of content saying this in 20 different ways. There's not one person that anybody can name that is a extremely wealthy person that they can say made their money from multiple streams of income. Mm-hmm. Everybody made their money from one thing and then diversified into other things. A lot of times people hear the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. I have over 7 streams of income. Cool, but I made my money from one thing. Mm-hmm. And now I'm diversifying into other things. People always hear that and they think because of that, that is the reason why they made their money, not the result of them making their money. And that's a big thing. So it's like literally focusing on what you're doing. Also, another word of advice, do not follow your passion. People always say, what are you passionate about, blah, blah. Fuck your passion, go what you're good at. If you're good at something, even if you don't really enjoy it that much, as long as you don't hate it, but if you're good at something, when you're good at it, you're going to actually become passionate about it. especially once it actually gives you the financial reward that you deserve.
1,000%. So back to what you were saying about the concentration builds wealth, diversification keeps it. My mentors have said saying yes gets you to the million, saying no takes you beyond it. So it's just, you got to protect your time. You got to guard your time so that you can move up to the next thing. And about the passion thing, I agree with that too. Like I wrote a book and the title was literally From Passive to Passionate, because that is the order that I think you should do it in. So what you just said, I completely agree with. So and I call it passionate income. So it's just like my whole thing was, okay, everyone's talking about how to build passive income. Ain't nobody talking about what you do after. And so I call it passionate income. Like the business I built today, I fucking love. I'm going to run it forever, which makes me dangerous to compete against because I love it.
But you love it because you're good at it.
I love it because I'm good at it, but also I wasn't economically dependent on it. And that's the game changer, because I already had the investments that I didn't even care about, that don't bring me passion, like the real estate and all this different stuff was already bringing in the income to support my lifestyle. So now I'm like, okay, I'm good. Now what?
But the thing is, with the good also comes the money.
Yeah.
So once your money exceeded the passive income that you did not need for the shit that you were not passionate about, you now became passionate about this.
Yeah.
Promise you, if you made nothing doing this, you would enjoy doing it. Because people know me know I really don't care about the money. I really don't. But they're like, then why do you make so much money and why do you like do things to make money? Money is the metric that tells you're doing a good job. If my company goes down in revenue, that tells me I'm not doing a good job. My company goes up in revenue, that tells me I'm doing a good job. That has nothing to do with anything else. And even for me, when it comes to profit, there's sometimes, okay, well, why don't you just pay your employees more? No, because I don't need to, because it's their job to move up in the company, and every step of the way comes with a pay raise. So you fucking do your job and move up. I want you to move up because we need more leadership. And part of that also is that I care about the bottom line. I don't care about the bottom line because how much money I'm putting in my pocket. I care about the bottom line because that's what my bankers look at. That's what tells me if I'm doing a good job as the CEO of a company. You can look at our FTD, our financial disclosure document. We're at 45% profit margins. It's a top line.
Man, there's so much other stuff. Like we'll stop it there, but what we'll do is I'll come up with my team and we'll do a whole like tannin salon thing like with you, and we'll go through the economics, because there's some other like crazy stats that you got. Like you got recurring revenue at 60-70% of your total revenue. You got freaking 15% churn, 85% retention. Man, if people want to find out more about you, if they want to partner with you, if they want to learn, just follow along what you're doing, what you're growing, where can they get you?
At sweatpant_millionaire on Instagram is probably the easiest way, or you can go to onyiodunukwe.com.
Boom. Let's go, man. Dude, you're crushing it. It's fun to watch. Like, you're one of those guys online where I'm like, all right, like, I see this guy, but let me, like, see this guy. And I looked into your video. I was like, man, this guy's legit. And it's fun, man. And so I love doing the podcast like this, getting to know you. Thanks for coming on, man.
Appreciate it, brother.
It's been Onyi and Brian with the Action Academy podcast. Signing off.